AITA agreed to meet my dad to reconcile, but I was really there to get my mom's bracelet that he stole. My dad and I, 25 male, aren't close, and I was never interested in having a relationship with him. He was the type of guy that was out all the time with his friends and never home. My mom divorced him when I was 12 and it got ugly. Sometime during the divorce, we came home and stuff was missing. Not his stuff, by the way, because that was cleaned out when he left. One thing missing was my mom's bracelet that she kept in a small box under some stuff in the closet. This bracelet was super special to her. Her parents were toxic as F, but my mom was really close to her English teacher/mentor in high school who was like a mom to her. Her teacher gave her that bracelet at her HS graduation, and my mom kept it all these years. My dad knew she treasured it, and who else would look in that specific place to take only a bracelet when there was other stuff in the house? She knew it was him too, but he always played dumb. The divorce was finalized and we didn't see my dad after that. My mom never got it back. Last June she got COVID and didn't make it. I was broken over that, still am, I guess. Glad at least me, my sister and my stepdad have each other for support. Around October, my sister told me dad wants to talk to me, so she gave him my number. He apologized for being a crap dad and asked if we could meet to talk at his place. I was ready to straight up say no, but then I remembered he stole her bracelet and maybe this was a chance to get it back. I've asked my sister before to push him about it since they talked, but she only asked him once and left it at that. I decided I could handle one visit just to see if he has it, so I told him I'd hear him out. So yeah, I met at his place. We caught up on stuff. He told me his sorry story about being immature and too focused on stuff that wasn't important than being a dad or whatever. I ended up bringing up the bracelet and how important that was to me since my mom's not here anymore. He still kept trying to act like it wasn't him until I said the only way I'd consider having a fat hair/in relationship is if he just stopped with that and gave me my mom's bracelet. He finally gave in, and thank God, he actually kept it instead of throwing it out. He apologized for taking it and knew it was being super childish. I was just happy to have it back, but mad my mom didn't get it before she died. I never guaranteed my dad a relationship, I just said I'd consider it. But I already made up my mind I don't want anything with him. It's been months since our meeting and my sister is pissed because my dad is disappointed I haven't talked to him. She says I was a huge piece of crap for making him think we'd reconcile. My only goal was getting the bracelet back, and I wouldn't have talked to him in the first place if it wasn't for that, so that's why I wonder if I'm TA. My sis is biased here since was little when they split and has a different version of him. Not the butthole. He sounds like a terrible person. And the fact that he initially tried to deceive you about shows that he hasn't improved much, if at all. Also, I'm so sorry for the loss of your mother. That's awful. Glad you have people close to you for support. My heart broke when I found out your mother passed. At least you can cherish your mom's treasure as a memento. Not the butthole, of course. Mine too. I thought he was going to get it back for her. So sad. Edit, not the butthole obviously. He did. But she passed first. Yeah, but he got it back. That's some good work. First thing that came to my mind. I'm pretty cynical, so take my words with a grain of salt, but I don't believe adults have much capacity to change patterned behaviors. Once our frontal lobes are formed, it's just too difficult. It's possible, but it takes years of work, and the person making the change has to really be willing to put in the effort. Something I highly doubt this man is willing to do. Work works to a degree. We can also behaviorally change significantly in response to lots of trauma, lots of psych meds, drug addiction, or occasionally, lots of changes to our external environment. User Analbox has a well thought out, clinically minded comment. Reddit link. Sounds like he's got his head up his Analbox. The fact that he's not apologize about the bracelet first and still pretend he doesn't have that, really show how much he have changed. Probably become worse. Compulsive lying is something a person never changes because the wiring in their brain is messed up. It's not something that can be managed with meds and psychotherapy. I had a friend who was a compulsive liar, and she kept comparing herself to OCD sufferers. She even tried to get an OCD diagnosis before a court case. She wanted a way out of it after being caught collecting donations for a charity but then stealing the donations. It's been 20 years since that, and nobody has ever been able to help her. She's been in and out of jail and has landed herself in many unsafe predicaments because she can't stop lying. I don't associate with her anymore obviously, but my family is still friends with her family, so I do hear about her deceitful behavior. She sounds like a sociopath. Pathological liars rarely, if ever, change. Most of them don't want to change and don't see a reason to, unless it directly benefits them. Op is not the butthole. Stay away from the sperm donor who calls himself your father. Is there a way to prevent becoming a pathological liar? It can be very difficult, but not impossible. But you have to make that effort to change, and it can be a Herculean one. But not impossible. Op's story at the beginning sounds like my dad. He ditched us when I was around 3 years old and didn't come back into the picture for about 20 years. He owned up to the crap he did, swore he'd make it right, and he has consistently for the past 6 years. He changed because he wanted to change. He changed because it was required for him to have a relationship with me at all. He knows that the price was, and is steep, one lie, and I'm gone. Older folks can change, they just need to be hungry enough, and they need to recognize the stakes and the margin for error. They need to want it so bad they're willing to shed their skin to get it. Yeah, I really don't agree with that comment about the frontal lobe setting and that's it for change. In fact, the average person does change, and often. Teenagers and preteens can be super selfish, for example, until they hit their 20s to late 20s. Then many of us change again dramatically in our 50s. My mom used to be super aggressive and angry, and while she's still her moments, she's definitely calmed down in the last decade or so. So yeah, don't agree with that comment, and Op's dad could have changed, but it's her choice of course if she should continue a relationship with him. Just because he's changed doesn't mean she has to forgive him. Absolutely. I chose to give him a chance because I was ready to give it a go, but it's not up to anyone but original poster to decide when, or if, they want to ever give their dad that opportunity. If my dad had lied to me the first time I met him in person, like Ops, I would never have spoken to him again. He'd be dead to me. I agree on your point about people changing, very much so. Ops' father, unfortunately, doesn't seem to have changed at all or enough to make bridging the gap possible. He failed the test. A wise man once told me, if you're not cynical, you're not paying attention. As someone said in front of me when I was a teen, the only time you're going to change a man is when he's wearing a diaper. Goes for women too. It's difficult, but not impossible. Especially if fixing that relationship is as important to him as he said it was, which it clearly wasn't, since he still lied to original poster until they gave him an ultimatum. Had he come clean without that, maybe reconciliation would be possible. It's possible for someone to change. In my experience, people will only change if they truly have a reason to. Agree, not the butthole. Hijacking your comment to provide some advice to Op: if you are going to wear the bracelet at all, bring it to a jeweler to put a safety chain on it so if the clasp ever breaks, the bracelet doesn't fall off. I lost my dad's bracelet that way and I am still heartbroken. Luckily, my mom gave me a necklace, but obviously never wanted to lose the bracelet in the first place. I now put safety chains on all my bracelets. So sorry for your loss. Take time to heal and don't feel any pressure to have relationships with people who don't bring anything positive to your life. Not the butthole, you did what you needed to do to recover stolen property. I'm so sorry for the loss of your mom. Your estranged father doesn't get to demand your time or your emotions. Not the butthole. Op: your father is still playing childish games, since he didn't immediately give that bracelet back to you, even before you asked for it. That he continued to stonewall you proves that he hasn't become some better person. He's still that same guy who's thinking of himself, and not you. You've done without him this long, I don't think you'd miss much by doing without him from here forward. Not the butthole: I'm so sorry for your loss. Almost sounds like he used her death to get to you. Not the butthole. He would have given you the bracelet right away if he was truly remorseful and wanted a fresh start. He's still a crap human. You don't owe him anything. If original poster meant that as a test, crap daddy failed right there. That's what to tell sis. Op didn't mean it as a test, but if dad had come forward with it, not lied to start, then it might have left the door open a little. Oops. Not the butthole, completely justified. I'm sorry, I laughed on my phone at crap daddy. You owe me a new phone. It'll be in the mail. The F is in your spit, battery acid? On the internet, no one knows you're a xenomorph. Exactly. Original poster should point this out to his sister if she starts in about how he's so sad. FFS. This man is horrible and original poster you are not the butthole. Not the butthole in the slightest, and my heart breaks for you, and for your mom who never got to have her treasured possession back before she died. Your father is a bare-faced liar, vindictive. He certainly did this for no other reason than to hurt your mom, and on top of that a manipulative person turning your sister against you while you are both grieving. You had every right to get that bracelet back, and you only had to be slightly dishonest because of his extremely blatant dishonesty. I'm so sorry that you are going through this. Hopefully your sister will grow and gain more empathy for your perspective with time. He admitted he was drunk and feeling petty about the divorce when he went to the house to take it. But he had all these years to give it back. I just wish she got it back before that, but she didn't want to include the cops since it was going to be more drama on us. So he drove himself to your house drunk as well. He's not sounding any better, that is for sure. That was a regular thing for him back then. I'm betting he didn't apologize for that either? So much not the butthole. Yup, not the butthole. The more I learn about your father, the more he sounds like an intestinal wave of fecal matter that has only aged like sour milk. I am terribly sorry for your loss, and may your mother rest in peace. Good for you, being rid of him and getting your beloved possession back. Here's to hoping your sister gains some perspective. I am so stealing intestinal wave of fecal matter, best phrase today. But he had all these years to give it back. And that's why you're not the butthole and he's ta. If he was truly remorseful, he'd have given it back when your sister asked about it. Might want to point that out to her. I'm very impressed that you could hold it together to meet your dad. Obviously, you are not the butthole. I don't know if you know who your mom's teacher was, but if you could look her up, it would bring joy to her and maybe comfort to you to meet her, post-COVID, and hear about your mom's youth. My 77-year-old uncle just had a serendipitous run-in with his now 99-year-old school teacher. It was such a joyous thing to hear about them reminiscing about that time and their schoolmates. Sadly, her teacher passed away when I was 5 or 6, but I met her a few times and she was a really sweet old lady. So much not the butthole. He had many years to right this wrong. At literally any point he could have decided what he did was wrong and could have gotten this treasure back to your mom. Even after her passing, he could have led with the bracelet, saying how sorry he was for being a jerk and stealing it from your mom in the first place. Instead, he tried to play it off as if he had nothing to do with it. I'm not buying it. People break up all the time, but they don't all drive over to their ex's house, rob the place, lie to their own kids, and then refuse to take responsibility until their son shames them into doing the bare minimum. Interesting that he at least admitted to being petty. Yeah, no. He had 13 years to grow up and return those items. Instead, he waiting 4 months after your mother passed to wiggle back into your life. Childish behavior and being focused on other things might have been why they broke up, but doesn't explain any of his actions since then. Breaking into your mom's house and stealing sentimental items isn't petty, it's vindictive. And avoiding you for 13 years isn't childish, it's abandonment. Not the butthole man. Ruthless maybe, but not a butthole. I think it's time that your sister know the truth of who he was and how important this was to your mom. You said she was little and didn't know the extent. If she's old enough to understand that he stole, permanently hurt her mother until death, and is still manipulative enough to lie about what he did, she can be told the truth now. Catch her up on all that he's done so she can stop harassing you about doing what was right. She's allowed to have any sort of relationship she wants with him, but they are not entitled to control you. She would be proud of you. Not the butthole, and I'm sorry for the loss of your mom. You owe that man nothing. You did what you had to do to reclaim your dead mother's property, and you didn't break your word to him in doing so. You are definitely not a butthole for this. I second this. You said you would consider it. The only thing you own in this world is your own feelings, and there's nothing he can do to take away those years of hurt. You can forgive, but you can't forget. He admitted it was childish of him to even take the bracelet to begin with. He had all those years to ask for forgiveness and return it but choose not to. Yeah, you may have had slightly ill intentions to see him just for the bracelet, but it's justified because that's something of your mother's that you can remember her by. You were still honest about keeping a relationship with him. You didn't tell him that you guys can work on it, simply that you'd think about it. Sorry for your loss. I second this. You said you would consider it. Yes. Original poster can tell him I told you I'd consider it. I considered it. Then I remembered you're a thief. I'm all about forgiving. I think carrying hate around is like swallowing poison yourself to try and harm someone else, but that doesn't mean you have to let people back in your life. Forgive from a distance and move on. Honestly, even if original poster had made it seem like a guarantee to reconciliation, I still would find him not the butthole. His father caused so much pain towards original poster and his late mom that him leveraging the bracelet isn't even a blip on my radar. It's been over a decade without contact, and the father still couldn't even be upfront about the bracelet even in the midst of his apologies to original poster. I bet he would have still withheld it if original poster hadn't pressed him during their in-person meeting. This man didn't even think to offer that first after finding out his kid lost his mom. He can kick rocks. Yeah, I'm of the belief that you don't owe chronic liars honesty. Even if original poster had needed to play the con a little to get it back and then ghosted, I wouldn't call him the butthole. This isn't a story where the kid only comes around when they need money or something. Original poster wanted what his father had cheated his mother of having. It was rightfully ops. I agree. They wouldn't have been the butthole even if they outright lied. That man was horrid to steal a precious item from his mother, and it is just that he has it back. I added the not breaking the word because that makes ops actions that much harder to argue as being anything but honorable. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.